Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Kiwi Buzzsaw, Travis Banks, back with another exciting episode of What's Up with Wrestling. And I know I haven't been on form. Hold on, I'm just putting my timer on. On form, on the bloody go. I've been really useless with the episodes lately, and that's because I have a pretty devastating injury, I think. So yeah, there's not really been much to report, and to be honest, I've been a little bit down about everything at the moment, just with my injury. So that's what's been up with wrestling essentially, and it's just kind of been an ongoing thing. And we may as well just get straight into it because I kind of want to be on a little bit of a topic today, and I don't really know how this is going to unfold because I didn't write anything down. But I thought it was more genuine, more authentic if I just kind of went for it and recorded. But yeah, so 8 weeks ago, as I think some of you will probably know that listen to this, I sustained an injury where I hyperextended my knee. I didn't think it was that bad. Um, as far as I was aware, it was just like a few weeks, like 3, 4 weeks rest, and then I could get back to it. I did one show in Oaxaca. Really easy show. I didn't feel too well on it. And then I tried to wrestle in Guatemala, and before the show even started, I was warming up. Not the show, sorry. The show had started. I was warming up and I felt a click in my knee, and it was extremely painful. And my music started playing, and I was like, "Fuck!" So I was like on the verge of a panic attack as my music was playing, and then I went out and wrestled. So I came back from that, and then from there I was like, "Okay, I need to give this a few weeks rest." So I canceled some bookings, and then I had a show for Lucha Libre Elite where I wanted to get ready for. And as that was coming up, I was kind of stressing myself out. I was really freaking out about my knee. The pressure to perform as well was like increasing because I knew my knee wasn't like 100%. But I went into the show. My knee actually turned out to be okay. But another guy got his shoulder dislocated in the match, unfortunately. And then what was it? And then the next week I had a show in Morelia, knee again. I'll get onto it in a sec, but it just wasn't feeling great. And the boys, bless them, they helped me keep it easy. But we had a really good match, and I was thinking, okay, maybe we're back on the mend here. We're heading in the right direction. I'm getting more confidence with my knee. And then I had a show last weekend, maybe I think it was now, for a guy called Taniblis Jr. He runs shows, and it was at Cataplume down the road from me, and down the it's like a carnival, a theme park sort of thing, and it's on top of a shopping center. So it was a very easy match, nothing too crazy about. But again, I was really really unconfident on my leg, and I don't know if any of you out there who are listening are wrestlers, but if you're trying to fucking perform on on an injury like your knee, where like for me personally, I like to get in and be aggressive and like run hard and bump hard and stuff like that. Um, it fucks with everything. It fucks with my mindset about wrestling, and all I'm doing is just thinking about my knee and protecting my knee. And I just knew that something I needed more time, but I wasn't giving myself more time, if that makes sense. So I did this match, and I did the opening spot, and it was fine. And then as I was showing out to the crowd and screaming at them and calling them every name under the sun, I just turned to like hit a guy off the apron, and I just felt my knee click again. And it clicked. There wasn't pain, but there was definitely instability. And yeah, I got through the match, and I got to the back, and I was like, okay, something's off. So I walked home because the show was only down the road, like 10 minutes from my house, which was a bloody godsend. And yeah, I couldn't really walk properly, and I was like, oh god. And then so I kind of made the decision in the locker room there, but I didn't really think about it until after, like, that. Nah, I need way more time. And yeah, and then I got home and I knew something was wrong, and then I woke up in the morning and I could not walk at all. Um, could barely walk. I could barely walk around my kitchen. Um, and I just knew I was like, I need to really, really fucking focus on this and get it sorted out. So I booked myself an MRI, and bless my physiotherapist. He's been amazing. His name's Fueza Vital. He's actually a new wrestler, and he came with me and translated and helped me out with my MRI. And apparently, I have a complex tear in my meniscus, slight tear in my ACL and MCL. So, the last 8 weeks have been pretty bad emotionally, pretty bad mentally. I think I'm probably going to be out until January, which is not ideal. I was supposed to be in my busiest period of wrestling, but the universe sort of said, "Hold on, Trev, we're not gonna we're not gonna do that right now. We think you need a break." And I have now, in hindsight, come to appreciate the time that I've had off recently because wrestling has been getting on top of me a lot. And I kind of wanted to use this wanted to use this podcast today to maybe speak a little bit about that and get into maybe the nitty gritty of mental health and how that can impact you and all the things that come along with mental health. Again, I haven't written anything down, so I'm kind of my thoughts are probably going to be all over the show with this. So, as I said, 8 weeks. I've kind of well, I don't know. It's probably like 2 months now, to nearly probably leaning on 3 months that I've had this knee injury. Had to slow down and kick back on some of the bookings. And to be honest, it hasn't been great. Jess, the same day that I did my knee, Jess went to Japan for 3 months. Um, so whatever this situation I find myself in, it was something to where I had to deal with this by myself and figure this out for myself. And at first, I found it very hard because I found this always when I've had um, injuries is that you kind of start. Uh, Maybe I'm just a hypochondriac. I don't know, but maybe you start thinking about like, fuck, what if this is it? What if this is the end of my career? This and that, and what am I doing if I'm not wrestling? Why am I even in Mexico? And I'm start questioning all these things, and I kind of had it's not kind of had, I'm just saying that because I guess I'm just trying to be soften the blow, but I had a little bit of a breakdown, to be honest. um yeah, I had a little bit of a breakdown because I couldn't figure out how this situation was fair after everything that I had been through. And then Jess leaves, and then on top of that, I'm supposed to go into my busiest period here in Mexico, finally making breakthroughs after speaking out, and the injury comes about. Um, so that was something that was really tough, and I find when I'm in a kind of a state like this, I start relying on my friends and my family, and I start leaning on them for support. Um, and I'm very fortunate that when I was young, I took up karate, and I have a karate sensei. His name's Paul Maddox, and he's into like spiritual healing and just more like self help stuff and all that stuff. So whenever I'm in a situation or like I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, I just send him a message, and it's never doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter how long the message is. Send him 15-minute voice notes at sometimes. He always answers, and he's always there, and he's always open to you know shit, sorry, um, lending a hand, like opening his ears, a shoulder to cry on, whatever I guess you want to call it. And there was a question he asked me that kind of fucked me up a little bit when we were going back and forth talking about like how I'm feeling and stuff. And he said, "Who are you without wrestling?" Because he says, "I know you, and you put so much pressure on being successful, and and I know you've put a lot of like who you are as a person. Like for me personally, like wrestling's really helped me open and grow and not be a shy kid. And all my successes and wins and triumphs have been through wrestling, and figuring out who I am has been through wrestling." So he was like, "Who are you, um, outside of wrestling? Like who's the person below it. And at first I got really angry, like defensive and upset that he had asked me that. And I was almost, but he like asked me the question too, like, what do I want to do, like when this stops, you know? And I've obviously thought about that before, and yeah, I guess I get defensive and I freak myself out when I think about like what am I, or who am I after maybe wrestling stops? Do I still stay in it? Do I open a training school? Because I've defined most of my life about being a pro wrestler. And when I was younger, it was like part of it was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm a pro wrestler. Like, this is who I am. Like, I was like, if you're not a pro wrestler, you suck and you have no value in life. Or I find sometimes that I was like, not now, like when I back then, like valuing people if they were good wrestlers or not. You know, if they were a shit wrestler, I thought maybe they're not worth my time. And I just thought it was okay when you're young, but I guess when you get older in this business, like it's something that you have to confront. Like you're not just a wrestler. Like who else are you below this, below the surface? And yeah, and that question really fucked me up, and it got me thinking about a lot of things. And I remember when speaking out first happened, and there was a very real chance of maybe not continuing with with my wrestling career anymore. And that question was prevalent then. It was like, well, if I'm not doing this, who am I? Because this is who I identify as. You know, my as I said before, my triumphs, my wins, my personality has been sculpted around this. And then if I'm taken out of wrestling, who am I? And that was a very scary and real situation that I kind of had to confront. And since then, obviously, I'm still in wrestling. I've tried really, really hard to kind of disassociate. Um, disassociate, is that the correct term? Just pull myself away from being so entrenched in professional wrestling. And it doesn't mean that I don't love it any less. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to put in 100% towards the work, or I'm still going to try and push forward. It just means that my whole life doesn't revolve around that. And it doesn't, my friendships don't revolve around it. The value that I put towards people don't revolve around it. And that's something I'm passionate. And here's the thing, like, I still see people, and some of them who are my old friends, I still see that insecurity in them, that they value everything in wrestling. And I'm not judging, but to me, in my own personal journey, progression, I just look at that and I just think like, I feel bad because I know that potentially there's a piece of them that is hurting just like I was. And confused, insecure, um, and and here's another thing too, and I guess that this I see I'm just free thinking this, and I don't know where this is going, so I'm just forgive me if this doesn't make sense, but like, and I guess this like goes back to speaking out, why a lot of people pulled away from me because they see their livelihood in jeopardy, and if you pull that layer back some more as well, they see their own like identity being stripped away if they associate with me, um, and they get heat from people, you know, online. So like that's been a massive journey, and it's just been a massive question that I've been asking myself like time and time again since like I spoke to my karate sensei about it, and I think it's an important one, to ask yourself, who are you, and like what do you value underneath the facade of professional, oh no, the facade of whatever it is, I guess anything that you identify as, if you're a fisherman or whatever, like this is my life, these are my values. It's just like, yeah, but who are you? Like during this whole situation with speaking out, a lot of people just like to point fingers and label me as a lot of things. He's a piece of shit, he's bad to women, he's this, he's that, all the most nastiest things that you can imagine. And some of them, like, you just sit there and you're like, am I really a bad person? But then with this question, like, who am I under wrestling and who am I really? Like, I start asking, answering those questions. I am empathetic towards people's like problems. I care deeply about friendships and relationships that I have. You know, there's just things that I I know that I am that people like to, I guess, it feels like a race or tell people that you're not. And always have to remind myself of who I am underneath all that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just kind of rambling here. Um, I was listening to, well, I'm not listening to, I guess I was on Reels or like TikTok the other day, and a quote by Jim Carrey came up. Jim Carrey is like one of my favorite actors of all time. Funny man, great comedy actor. And I don't know if you guys follow him or like his journey through mental health or anything like that, but some of his quotes really just hit me hard. And I guess it's just because he's my favorite actor that it speaks to me so much. And I take a lot of stuff from Jim Carrey in like my heel routine in the ring, like a lot of facial expressions and stuff, and physical comedy is because of him. And I guess that's probably why I, softened to his like message, I guess. And he said that depression or the word deep rest is so no fuck I'm getting ahead of myself. The word depression or depressed. Um, I guess he has some sort of teacher that spiritually guides him or something. The word depressed actually means deep rest. And that's because our avatar or the person that we present to the world is so sick and tired of being that person that it wants deep rest. You've just had enough. And ever since I heard that, I've been thinking about it and like my journey through professional wrestling and the way that I've presented myself to everybody, I guess, in every era or every stage of my career. Like who have I tried to present myself as? Like I remember when I very first started, I just I think when I first started, it's like you're your true authentic self because you can't be anything else. You know, you're new, you suck, and you gotta get better and stuff. And then as time gone on, especially in New Zealand, I try to present myself as somebody who knew wrestling and who wanted to be the man. I guess is the best term. Like I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be the man. I wanted people to respect me. And however I went about that, I just wanted that, but it's not. It doesn't exactly line up with the character of who I am. 'Cause sometimes I could be horrible, or like I could be angry, or I could be disappointed. But I was just trying to put on this, I guess, peacock act of like just trying to be the man all the time. And that wasn't me. And I think back to that time when I was in New Zealand, even though I had great times with my friends and stuff, and it gives me a lot of, not anxiety, wouldn't be the word. I don't look back at things fondly, you know? Um, I look back at that time as a very like tumultuous time. And it wasn't just me. There was a lot of people around me that was super insecure and I think you find that a lot in wrestling as well. Everybody's trying to still figure themselves out. And I was trying to present myself as somebody that probably doesn't actually line up with my values. So, so I think that was, I look back at that time and I go, that was definitely a time that I was not aligning with the person that I was. Um, and then going moving forward to the UK, I was very hurt from certain situations in that time and trying to recover from that. And then when I was trying to recover from that, obviously a lot of things were going wrong in the UK. A lot of things were going right career-wise. And again, it's like you're wearing these masks or you're trying to portray this avatar that you're not. Like you're the man. You're the man at wrestling. Like everything's going well. Look how successful I am. But on the opposite end of that, when I'm just at home, I was so sad and lucky that I had wrestling because I didn't feel like I had anything else. I didn't feel like I had any connections. Um, I didn't feel like I had any like good true friends, and I slipped into this person that I didn't like who I was, and it was sorry, I slipped into the microphone, and it was this person that was just like a yes man, I guess. I just went along with whatever the cool kids said. Like, I don't want to name names, but like there was a few people that I was hanging around with that always like try to portray as like the leader, or like this is, yeah, you should do this, or blah blah blah, and they'd always like, pull their shoulders back and peacock around and act like they were the boss and stuff like that. And to, I guess, because I was so hurt from certain situations in New Zealand, that I kind of just like fell into like just keeping people happy. Now that was the complete opposite of what I was in New Zealand, and that was killing me, and that didn't align with my values or my personal like preferences and stuff like that, you know. And it wasn't until I actually like I felt like I saved myself by moving out of, there was a house that we were living in, or the rest of us were living in, and it wasn't until I moved myself out of that shithole and got a little space of my own that I could actually feel like I could breathe again, and finally kind of figure out and have some space and think about who I was and what I value, and and things like that. So that was, yeah, it was important for me to get away from like toxic people. And here's the thing, right? I could sit here and like name the people that I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because here's the thing. I don't even know if they were toxic people. Now that I think back to it, I wonder, and I often think about this to myself. Were those people just toxic? Were the way me and them, mm, like, interacted, was the relationships that I had with them the toxic thing? Was my personality just not a match for their personality? You know, because there was so long I was so angry about them, and sometimes when I'm tired or fed up, I still get angry about them. That I'm like, why doesn't other people see these people as pieces of shit, right? And I would compare and I'd get angry. Um, why are they getting success if they're pieces of shit or they were pieces of shit to me? But then I had to take a step back for myself and be like, you know what? What if it's not they're a piece of shit? What if the way that I interact with them and talk about them, and what if our personalities just aren't meant to be around each other? And when I thought about it like that, then it was easier to separate. Like, I just thought of it like, well, they're just not for me. They're just not people for me in my life that I need to give energy to either. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it definitely helped with like putting a little bit of distance between me and them mentally for myself. Yeah, and then and then I started figuring out. I started, really feeling like I was myself again. I started going, okay, yeah, got that backbone, I guess, back, and then speaking out happened, and fuck, man, it just, I finally felt like, I was free of turmoil. I finally felt like I was free of toxic people or toxic situations that I had found myself in from the choices that potentially that I had made. Finally felt like, I had a good job with WWE, and I finally I started seeing Jess, got my dog. Things are starting to fucking pick up, and then all of a sudden speaking out came around. Now, I'm not saying like it was out of the blue speaking out. Like, obviously speaking out happened for a reason, in a sense of like if there was nothing to say, speaking out wouldn't have happened, or if nobody ever had a problem, nothing. And again, these are old choices that I made that were just coming back up. Now, nothing illegal happened, but in this fucking movement, everybody was angry for whatever reason, and there was no looking at nuance, and it just fucking blindsided a lot of us. But again, I was like, well, I get it. Like, this probably needed to happen, and also too, if I've been outed, maybe then that was okay, let me take some of my fucking thoughts are all over the show. Let me take myself out of the context, right? Like, or like, let me just step back from the whole situation a little bit and just be a fucking bystander looking in. If I'm looking in And I had a lot of issues that I was still dealing with, trying to figure out who I was, trying to get away from toxic people, trying to heal from my past, trying to, figure out things and carry burdens, and all the while then trying to have a successful career on top of that. There were so many things that I needed to figure out, but I was ignoring and putting off and not working on myself. So of course, if you're just ignoring the issues of yourself, if you just keep ignoring and and saying things will get better, like I'll just wait for this thing to happen, or I'll wait for something else to happen, or I'll just wait for the perfect person to come along, then I just feel like it's gonna come to a head. And I feel sometimes that's what speaking out was. It was all my issues of the past that I never addressed coming to a head, finally and eventually. Even though I was already on the correct path, it just felt like, okay. And then since then, honestly, and I said this in another podcast, like I don't regret anything because it has actually forced me to face a lot of things head on about myself that maybe I didn't like or I wasn't happy with. Um, there was, oh fuck it, who cares? Sorry, mum, because I know you'll listen to this. There was a period in when I was with WWE that we were taping every 6 weeks, so it would be like 6 weeks off. We were getting paid the most amount of money that we had ever been fucking paid, and then we would tape for we'd go for like a week or maybe 2 weeks sometimes to train, and then TV tape. And in those 6 weeks off was actually the most horrendous part of my time, because I was masking problems with work. So up until I got signed to WWE, I was so busy. Like in 2017, I think I've said this before, but I had like 200 something matches. I can't remember, right? And then when I got signed to WWE and we started working for WWE, like more, not so much in 2018, more so in 2019, my whole workload just pulled back. So I'm sitting around for 6 weeks. We can't wrestle for anywhere else. We've got money coming in, and nothing's happening. So now this is the time that I need to work on myself the most, but instead I was going out drinking. And I've never taken drugs before, but in this period of time, I tried a little bit here and there. Now for me, that's a lot. Um, but I've never done. Prior to that, I had never even thought I've never smoked marijuana. I still haven't smoked marijuana, but I've never done any of that. And the reason that, and I was going out drinking every weekend, making bad decisions, messaging people that I shouldn't have, um, and just because I was sad and lonely, sitting in my room by myself. Now there was other outside influences that were making me sad as well, but I can't fully point the finger at them and go, "That's your fault," because it's not. It's my fault if I want to change. Oh no, it's my, it's my choice if I'm sad or not. So I'm sitting there, and the thing that I always kept thinking at the time was because I was going out drinking so much, and it didn't help that there was a group of friends that would easily say yes to that either. So they would say yes, I'd go out, right? And I'm not saying I was an alcoholic or I needed anything like that. I'm just saying for me personally, that's not my baseline. That's not who I am. That doesn't align with my values. I'm putting on a mask, just like I said before. And this was the reason. And this is what I told myself all the time. I just want to feel something different. Because right now I feel numb. Now, if I go out and drink, maybe I might find that, chase that high of a good night or dancing with some girl, whatever that night entails. And I remember thinking whenever I would say that to myself, I was just like, this isn't right. That you are feeling this way, that you want to feel something different. So this is the avenue that you chase. And by the grace of God or the universe or divine timing, lucky that Jess came around, because that stuff then just wasn't important. I Now I haven't drunk, and well, I've drunk here and there, and again, I'm not opposed to having a little drink now and then, but I haven't drunk properly for 3 4 years. I don't ever take drugs outside of painkillers, especially with my knee. Um, I don't even care about going out to partying, and this is more in line with who I am. You can call me boring, but I don't care. That's not. It's not for anybody else, but it's for me and who I align as. You know, I don't want to wake up with a hangover. I don't want to be so drunk that I'm fucking crying to nobody, or I'm messaging girls, that will fucking get you in trouble. I don't want to do those things. That's not who I am. It was just me putting a mask on to mask, just trying not to be myself. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. It's just like, what does that mean? Like, I'm trying to, because I don't, because now it's like nice just trying to live in my own values and live in accordance to how I actually am. Like, that's a nice thing. Like, what was I so scared of? And who was I flexing towards when I was putting on these other masks? Like, I remember when I was younger and I got drinking, like when I was like 20 and stuff, and I always wanted to be the most funniest fucking person in the room. Always cracking jokes, always doing this, always wanted to be the silliest, so that the next day everybody would be like, "Look at what Travis did last night. That was so fucking funny. He's so what a crazy person." And now I look back at that and go, "Who is that?" You know. Obviously, I still like to entertain people, and that maybe was why that was happening. Because at that time, I wasn't even wrestling, and maybe I just needed the avenue, the outlet, to feel like I needed to entertain people, or that piece of my personality needed to be satiated. I don't know, but like I remember, I think back to that now. I'm just like, that wasn't. I don't even look back at those times like, yeah, that was fucking dope, man. Like, that was awesome. I don't think like that. I think you had no purpose. Like, you had no goals. What? Who was that for? You know. So. So yeah, I don't know if any of this makes if it makes total sense. But I kind of just wanted to touch on it because I feel like it's a little part. And like, even like now, like in these 8 weeks, I've like done so much soul searching, and listened to podcasts, um, writing in my journal, things that I'm grateful for, trying a little bit of meditation here and there, keeping myself busy. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I value myself, and I value my time, that I want to help myself, you know, and it's important that I work on myself now more so than ever, especially when there's a lot of downtime. And I'm trying to just, with this knee injury, it's like forced me to slow down, and like, just, and usually I wouldn't be okay with it. It would freak me out. And I get, like, for example, like when I first got to Mexico, and when I first got to Mexico, there was no work. There was a lot of problems with Bandito and all that shit that he brought on to me and Jess. And this dog is squealing. Um, I'm gonna try and try to talk through it. It's so annoying. Yeah, there was so much downtime when we first got here, and I myself, because I'm like getting older as well. Let me see if he calms down. Really going on. Yeah, I'm getting older as well, so I value my time in this business. So like, when I had some downtime before, it would really stress me out. Like, I wasn't adding towards anything of my career. Like, I felt like I needed to be working all the time. But what this knee injury has shown me is like, it's okay to slow down, because people still know who you are. You do one big thing and everybody remembers you again. And that's like another thing as well. Like, that's another thing that like stresses me out. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. But then like, if I do something big, it's like, oh yeah, but then all the past is gonna get dragged back on. So it's such a like double-edged sword. I feel like I'm always like living on edge. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? But the thing that I've found out in these last 8 weeks, or the 2 months, whatever, however long it is that I can't worry about that. You know, my I can't worry about what success is coming. Like, I just have to kind of like always be. I just need to be ready for opportunities. Like, I'm always in shape. I'm always working out. I'm ready to go. I can wrestle. So just see what happens, because the more I force things, I feel like the more stressed out I get. And also too, if the more you force things, the more you force things, the less it's for you. So my old karate sensei Paul, he said to me this great analogy one time, and he goes, the things that you want, it's like trying to, like, the things that you stress about and the things that you want, it's like trying to hold a wet bar of soap. Like if you grip it really tightly, it's going to squeeze out, slip everywhere. You're never going to hold it. But if you just gently cup it, it will just rest there, and it's for you, and you won't have to chase it any longer. And I think about that all the time, about like how desperately I've been trying to hold on to my career. Um, Desperately try and hold on to the past, like 2017, like 2018. Like, those were like my best years. But why do I keep going back to that? Why do I keep saying those were my best years? Just leave it, because it's gone now, and I can only do my best work going forward. And I feel like I haven't even had my best matches or done my best work. And that was like one of my biggest regrets in WWE when I got fired, was like, I don't feel like I've given you my best work. And it's unfortunate that opportunity to show you has now been taken away, sorry. And now now it's even further away. So what am I gripping onto so tightly that it needs to cause me so much stress and so much anxiety? So these are sort of all the things that I've been going through in the last 2 months, struggling with and battling with. And again, I said it earlier. I see wrestlers these days, and they, I'm around wrestlers, and all they talk about is wrestling. All they talk about is what they're gonna do and success, and that's fine. And it's always good to have goals, but like, I look at them and I go, you guys have no idea, like, just how much you're hurting yourselves. And I think that's what makes me sad the most. Um, is that I think we put so much fucking pressure on ourselves in wrestling, and I guess just life in general. That, like, are we even enjoying what we're doing? You know, I've been very fortunate to watch Jess grow through wrestling, and I know she puts a lot of stress on herself, and she finds it hard sometimes to enjoy the moments. She enjoys the success after if it goes well, but she finds it hard to enjoy it in the moment. And I see that, and obviously I've been through that, and I just wish, like, I could just shake every young wrestler and be like, just enjoy what you're doing. Like, this journey that you're on, this incredible, crazy, weird world of professional wrestling is something to be, you know, appreciated and have fun with. And I remember when I very first started wrestling, I read a lot of autobiographies, and I read Chris Jericho's book. And after I read Chris Jericho's book, the first one, it was actually the book that made me decide, like 100%, that, like, I'm gonna do it, because I'd read Mick Foley's, and that was great. I read Bret Hart's, and that was great. But it was more. They were more like. They were more. It was more like blow by blow sort of thing. Like, this is how my career went, this and that, and blah and blah. And there's stories and stuff in there. But for some reason, with Jericho's one, it just sounded fun, and that's why I started wrestling, because I was like, that sounds so much fun. It's so incredible. And this is gonna make me emotional, but, like, I remember that, like, optimistic viewpoint, and sometimes I'm sitting here with everything that's happened. I'm like, how did it get so far away from that? The essence of why I started. I just wanted to have fun in the beginning, and now it's like everything fucking stresses me out. You know what I mean? Like, the politics. If I'm gonna have a good, like, the really the funny thing about wrestling is the fucking 15, 20, 25 minutes in the ring is actually the easy part, or the fun part. Everything else around it, like, fucking outside the ring, is the most stressful part. And I just wish I could get. Well, I've been trying to. No, it's not wish. It's not wish. I've been trying to get back to just, like, living in that moment and just having fun with it again. And yeah, because and again, I guess I get back to my original point, is like, who am I outside of wrestling? Like, I guess it's not even wrestling. I just need to have fun in my life first and foremost. and then wrestling will follow suit. I this has been a thing that's been said to me time and time again over the last few weeks. But like, you have to change your internal structure for your outside world to like change around you. And sometimes it's true as well, because there has been times in Mexico where I've been like, fuck, this place is so hard, wrestling's so hard, the politics are so hard, and maybe if I just turned my internal monologue, change my internal monologue inside me to something more positive, my outside world would be perceived more better. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Um, it's hard. It's hard though, because I think what's sad is because this business can be so like not competitive in a sense of like me versus you. Like, you compare a lot to other people's success when everybody's journey is different. Why does that person getting success? Or you just don't understand why things happen. Like in Mexico, there's so many weird politics that happen, and why people get angry at you for like no reason. But like, if you just go, oh, that's not my battle. Yeah, they're arguing about me or they're upset about me, but like, I don't know why. If I just leave it at that, then it doesn't matter. But the problem was, after speaking out, I felt like I just needed to know everything. Like, what are they saying? Are they gonna fucking kick off? They're gonna put something online about me, and that was something that I need to shake as well. Like, that was another big thing as well. Like, caring about what people said online. Like, now, whatever, fucking say what you want, man. Like, who cares? Like, I don't care, because I find, and I don't think I've said this publicly before, and I've found in so many people walking past my house. What the hell? I've found in this situation, when you get like catastrophically taken off your pedestal, the way that I have, or whoever has, people love to kick you when you're down. And at first, I was like, why the fuck? Like, this is so unfair. And at some point, you just realize that the people that are saying it just, I don't know, this is like a cliche thing to say, but like, they're just not happy. And I've found that the people that have talked the most shit actually have the most problems in their own life. There's been a few, I'm not going to name names because that's not what I'm trying to do here. There's been a few wrestlers that have been really, really, really outspoken against all the people in speaking out. Now, I know, and everybody knows in wrestling, that those people have a lot of issues, but nobody said anything. Because again, it was self-preservation. But it was just, for a long time, I was like, why is this is so unfair? This is so unfair. But when you realize that it's just not your issue, like, yeah, your name's out there, it's getting slandered, and people are like yelling about you. But when you realize that they're not yelling, they're just yelling because, I don't know, like, it's just not, it's not for me. Like, I don't need to engage with it. If that makes sense. Like, like, and if I engage with it, it just gives it power, and it just doesn't mean anything. We're just arguing into a fucking void. We're just yelling into a void. It doesn't matter. It's not healthy to fucking do that. But yeah, I don't know. I fucking can't remember what we were. I don't remember where this started or where this ends. It just sounds like a lot of talking to me. That's nearly like 45 minutes. Holy shit. Again, I guess if I can just summarize what I'm trying to say is, it's just like, man, if you're a young wrestler out there and you're listening to this, maybe just take care, man. Like, just take care of yourself first. Have other interests outside of wrestling. Don't if the things around you don't line up with your values, you don't need to subscribe to that. If people are talking shit, but that doesn't sit right with you, you don't need to join in just to be friends with people. You know, I find there's more power in just being yourself. Like, this sounds cliche, but I just mean like just being who you are. Like, you don't need to subscribe to that. And again, there's probably fucking like some people listening to this that have fucking been in my past, and I'm sure you've got fake accounts and whatever, and you're going, oh well, fuck, it's easy for you to say, Mr. fucking shit talker that used to shit on people. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did used to shit on people. I used to shit talk people. At that time in my life, I thought those people deserved it. But now, in hindsight, I look back and I go, that's disgusting behavior. Um, that's not a good representation of who I am, even though everybody probably remembers me for those moments, well, those people especially. But I don't. People change, people grow, people become better, and I am personally always trying to work on myself to this day. Like I don't care for it. Like, and I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of issues with it, but I don't. It's your issue, man. Like it's your issue. Like if you're angry with me for whatever reason for something that I fucking did 10 years ago, that's on you, man. Like that's not for me anymore. I'm not fucking out there publicly trying to slant anybody. I'm just okay. That's an issue that you have. I want to live my life. I just want to do my work. I want to get paid. I want to go home and enjoy the life that I've started to create for myself. And that's taken me fucking so long to get to that point in my life. You know, it's really fucking taken me a long time to fucking just be like, I don't need all that other shit. I just need a simple, basic thing. I want my job. I want my reputation. I just want to do good work and you know, and I guess I'm just like what I'm trying to say is I guess I'm just committed to that. I'm not, and I think if you have a perception about me from however fucking long ago, then maybe there's something that you need to look at within yourself that's still hurting you. Maybe something that's inside yourself that you need to rectify. Because I'm not that person. So are you arguing with a ghost? I don't like. You see what I'm like? Do you see what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying like I'm trying hard not to be that person anymore. To be a person that doesn't. I guess to bring it back to what I said originally, that doesn't align. No, sorry. How do I word this? I'm trying to just be the person that aligns with who I am internally, and I don't want to cause anybody any problems. I don't. I just want to focus on myself, getting myself better, whether it be monetarily, career wise, internally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and um, and yeah, I guess that's it. That's I'm just trying to be a better person every day, and that's pretty cliche to say, but I tell you what though, the best thing about that is that I have good now more than ever. I have a good support system around me. My relationship with my family is the best it's ever been. The friends that are still with me and have stuck around, and have had honest conversations with me about who I am as a person, and you know, and I can tell them my flaws and you know whatever. That's been the best it's ever been, and also too having someone like Jess around as well with that just I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Just keeps me on the straight and narrow. Like points me in the right direction, makes me make the better choices, or it makes me want to make better choices instead of fucking wallowing in like self pity and stuff like that. Like no, I need to make better choices for my future with this person. You know, because okay. One more thing before before we back, we we leave and whatever else. I always had this like this analogy. I guess I would say that like I don't even. Again, I haven't like thought about this in a long time, but like I think I think of like when bad things happen to you, it's because you've banked a lot of bad decisions. Like if you make a bad decision, like or an emotional decision, or like or a decision out of spite, or a decision out of anger, or choices out of jealousy. I feel like you bank those, and then that investment. I don't even know if this is good analogy. That investment pays off in the end negatively. So when I was miserable and I was making bad decisions about the girls that I was seeing, about alcohol and stuff like that, of course, in the end, that investment pays off and something comes to a head. And that can be over a long period of time, a 10 plus year period of time. You know, something has to come to a head. So, like, the way that I see things now, whatever the decision is, however I deal with a situation, I try and think of the best decision that helps me, that serves my family, that serves Jess, that serves my friends in a positive way, so that I have all these good decisions banked and good investments, choices, and stuff banked, so that my life can then flourish. I don't know if this makes sense, but like that it makes sense to me in my head. So I try and so to do that, I try and slow down every single day and just slow down and like not make rash decisions and try and make the best decision and the most positive decision, so that in the end those good choices will pay off and flourish. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wanted to end on that note. So yeah, thanks for listening into my TED talk about my own mental health. Uh, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Put the questions down under the Spotify thing. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. On Instagram, Travis_Banks13, Travis Banks Pro Wrestler on Facebook. To be honest, I had no plan with this today. I probably should have written down bullet points or something because I felt like I've just talked into the microphone for an hour or whatever it is, 45, 50 minutes. And I don't know if we got anywhere, if we got anything, but if we did and you did feel something or you felt like I brought up a good point, please hit me up. I would love to talk to you guys in my fucking private messages. If you guys are struggling with anything, wrestling wise, life wise, feel free to, because I share the load. That's another thing. Just share the load with your friends and your family. And again, if you have some questions as well, you can ask me. Um, Maybe I'll do this again because it kind of felt nice just to talk it out. But yeah, so that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Bye.